These disorganized pages comprise some of the remnants of the viceregal judicial system, which existed when Mexico was under Spanish rule from the 16th to the 19th century. This book takes inspiration from this table and its jumble of documents. It samples from the millions of pieces of paper that make up the historical record of New Spain, focusing on certain texts that were written from the mid-18th century through to the 21st century. It gathers together some of these fragments, mingling them to offer listeners a kind of historical kaleidoscope. When you look through the eyepiece down the body of this kaleidoscope/book, the multiple and shifting texts that are visible all relate to the history of death in Mexico. Inspired by the work of creative historians for the last several decades, I have written this book, to continue the kaleidoscope metaphor, with a mirror system, which reflects and combines the various documents in ways that will look different than the traditional scholarship. My goal is not to confuse or distort history, but to show how texts merge and reflect upon each other to create complex patterns that change, repeat, and generate endless subtle variations. Even the largest, most complex kaleidoscope cannot contain all of the texts or reflect all of the angles on the theme of death in Mexico. Therefore, I chose one compelling incident as my focus in this book, a crime that inspired a multitude of writings on the topic of violent death. The crime took place as New Spain transitioned from a European-ruled viceroyalty to a modern nation. Court scribes, historians, and novelists have had an ongoing conversation for the last 230 years about this one horrendous event: the murder of 11 people in a large house in Mexico City during the night of October 23, 1789. The victims included a wealthy Spanish businessman, his live-in cashier, and 9 domestic servants. From the morning of October 24th, when the notary viewing the bodies created his first report documenting their deaths, the massacre has held a potent yet changing symbolism. For the viceregal authorities, these killings were a call to action. They were motivated to find the murderers and wreak the state's vengeance on them. Unofficial commentators at the time wrote their impressions in shocked tones, noting the fast reactions of their leaders to solve the crime and execute the perpetrators. They pondered the cosmic order that allowed such horrors,